Today's show is sponsored by Electro-Voice, a leader in design, manufacturing, and marketing of sophisticated audio, wireless, multimedia, aircraft, broadcast, and communication equipment. Visit them today at electrovoice.com.
Joining us today on the Culture Catch, musician Matt Costa.
Early in the morning, clouds are jumping on my head, reminding me the things at night I should have left unsaid. So please forgive the words I use, my mind it tends to run away with small ideas. I know I'm not the only one, so dear, oh dear, my head it turns a stray way. Sometimes I can't see clear, oh dear, oh dear. In spite of all the things I said, I always want you near. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it pours, sometimes I'm not that sure. But anytime you look at me, the thoughts I can't ignore. The second hand would pass us by, should one of us had blinked. But in a minute realize that true love always waits.
Tell me about being a skateboarder and, you know, kind of having, didn't you have your eyes set on maybe going professional, or were you professional in the early days before the accident?
I skated a lot, you know, more than I did most things, and I had sponsors and things like that, and did videos and things here and there, and the group of guys that I grew up skating with, around the time right before I broke my leg, we were all kind of progressing and pushing each other, and looking back in retrospect, like the year after I'd broken my leg, a lot of them went professional and things, and went that way. So, you know, looking back, yeah, I guess I was right there with those guys.
Right on the cusp, you guys were like the Z-Boys 2.0 version.
I guess so, yeah.
3.0 actually, because those guys were in the 70s, so you would have had 70s, 80s, 90s.
Early in the morning, clouds are dropping on my head, reminding me that things at night I should have left unsaid. So please forgive the words I use, my mind it tends to run away with small ideas. I know I'm not the only one.
Did you have a lot of the music growing up in your family? Was your family musical, or your parents have a lot of the music laying around the house and you go, oh, check this out, or they'd play it, you'd hear it in the background?
Yeah, it was pretty much, they were always big, they always were big supporters of my involvement in music, because my grandfather and my grandma, who I never had a chance to meet, but they when my dad was young, him and his family, they'd have friends over there. They'd play guitar. My grandpa played guitar, and my grandma had a radio show that she would do sometimes. So
nice.
So they grew up, you know, always having music around them, and so the fact when I started, you know, showing interest, like at the first time at one of my relatives' house, there was a piano there, and I started just like trying to figure out like the theme music for the cartoons I was watching, you know. So I tried to figure them out, and they were like, oh well, you know, why don't we, you know, put him in music? And so I was in a piano class for a while, and I got kicked out because I didn't read music. I would just listen to what the teacher was doing, you know,
right.
That kind of story. And yeah, they'd always just, you know, every time I would, you know, wanted to play an instrument, like I wanted to play trumpet, they were all for it, and they didn't mind, like, you know, whatever, if they were watching TV, hearing me like screech away down there on the brass, you know. So it was always they were always open to my musical experience.
I wish I was a mole in the ground. Yes, I wish I was a mole in the ground. If I was a mole in the ground, I'd root this mountain down. I wish I was a mole in the ground. My Kimpy wants a $9 show. My Kimpy wants a $9 show. When I come over the hill with a $40 bill, said, baby, where you been so long? I've been in the bin so long. Yes, I've been in the bin so long. Well, I've been in the bin with the rough and rowdy men. Said, baby, where you been so long?
I've always been drawn to music, and just the feeling that you get where you can be here right now, or you can be out there on the sidewalk, or you could be somewhere in the forest or in the country or on an island or on a ship or wherever you're at, you know what I mean, and you can hear a song and it can take you to the exact opposite of that, or it can create a new picture painted in your head of a land that didn't exist before, and just you imagine all these things, and it makes you escape from whatever reality that you're in, and you can exist mentally somewhere else. And that's the thing that was always drawn to me. I remember riding in my parents' car when I was a kid and hearing the oldies music, like Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lee Lewis, and the Beatles and things, and I didn't know who, you just, when you're a kid, I didn't even know what their whole deal was. It was just the sound that they were creating made me, took me away. And whether it was from Motown to the Beatles or Jerry Lee Lewis, who were all doing different things, it definitely just, I got lost in the music at a young age, and basically that's what, that's the feeling that you just try to recreate over and over again.
Let your hair fall down and your veins come curling down. Who can be let your hair roll down?
Your early demos found their way to Tom and No Doubt.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience. How did that all happen?
Well, basically, I just, I'd been recording demos at home. I started off on like a little tape player, and then I borrowed a 4-track from one of my friends, and that's when that's when I started really, making little demo CDs to give out to my friends and listen back, basically in my car to the songs I'd done, and eventually I made another demo in a little studio that I had like 2 hours to record. A friend of ours got us some time there, and I just laid down like four tracks, and then there's a clothing company called Ruka Clothing, which is RVC.
You know him really well, Rich Jacobs. We just did a video cast with him. Rich is one of the designers.
Oh,
there.
Cool.
Yeah. That went up yesterday on our website.
Oh, nice. Well, that's great. It ties in.
Pat TM.
Yeah, Pat Tenore.
Yeah, Tenore. Yeah.
So what happened was I was in there, and Tom's wife was working there at the time, and so he was in there hanging out, and the owner Pat had mentioned to me, oh, Tom plays music, you play music, and he said the same thing to Tom, and he's like, you should give him one of your demos. So I did, and then like a week later, he'd called me up and was like, hey, I've been listening to your CD, and I really like it, and do you have any more songs to record? And I said, yeah, I got a couple more songs. And he's like, well, why don't you come over, next week, and we'll record something. So in between that time, I got, I was like, man, I wanted to write a new song so that way I could just, come in it fresh. And so I wrote a song for that. And basically ever since we started, I didn't go back to the old songs. I just kept writing new songs. And by the time we'd finished, I'd go there once a week, and it got to be more like twice a week, and then 3 times a week, until it was like pretty much like 5 to 6 days a week we're over there recording. Oh, and this happened over like a two year period. But we became really good friends, and Tom and I got along really well. And I look at him like an older brother, someone who really just who was I don't know,
musical mentor.
Yeah, he was definitely a mentor, and we had a good connection. And it's one of those things that you can't explain or whatever. But it's just like whenever I talk to him, I feel it's just I feel comfortable, and the same and that's the perfect kind of environment to be creative in. And we didn't have any time limitations or anything, so we just started recording things and then started releasing them.
When you had your first record like nearly complete, did you think, man, this I think I've got it? Did you kind of know? Because, they say you spend 26 years to make your first record and then 6 months to make your second. It sounds like you got a lot of material anyway from having worked with Tom. You said you were recording on. Did you kind of say, like, well, I can cherry pick the best? this should, I think this is going to impact a little bit?
Well, I mean, I feel, yeah, I was excited because all the songs that I had recorded, I felt like we did have a way to kind of, pick the best of the bunch. And I'd written about maybe, I don't even know, like 40, 50 songs, and 13 made it on the record. So
got enough for you could have done a 3-record set right out of the gate.
I could have, yeah, but I didn't, I don't know. I'm all, people always ask me too about like the next record, like, have you started writing it and things? And I'm like, yeah. And like you were saying, it takes like 6, like 26 years to write your first one, 6 to write the next. But people are like, have you started yet? And I never really stopped just from the first one.
You got a bunch, yeah.
It goes. So so I'm excited about that too. Even though I'm still doing a lot of touring around this record, I can't help but like get on stage and play a new song or two, or any time I do something, play a new song, just because it's like you do it and it just itches to get out. So
Matt, I want to thank you for being on the Culture Catch.
Thanks.
Really appreciate you being here, and we really look forward to your continued success. I think you've just hit a spot that a lot of people can relate to. Good melody, good music. People will always relate to that. I think it resonates loud and clear.
Vienna, can you hear me? Blazing on the afternoon. Cathedral bells are ringing, 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 ringing a sound. Winter can't ignore her. Spring will bring her back her blossoms. And summer bring her back to me now. Bring her, bring her, bring her, bring her, bring her to me. Shoulder to shoulder, be back in a month, I told her. And wishing wells, a wisher, 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 wisher with me. Vienna fast marks through. I'm running through the streets of Zurich and calling all the trains in Europe to bring her, bring her, bring her, bring her, bring her to me. Anything I got to do, anything I got to do now. Anything I got to do to be back with happy Mondays, sleeping in on Sundays,